Today in the battle arena, two rodents who are masters of Kung Fu. Well, I guess Shifu is really a red panda, which is actually more similar to a raccoon or a bear. But you get my point. It's Master Splinter versus Master Shifu. So who's coming out on top in this battle royale? Well, today, that's what we're going to find out. What's up, guys? This is Danko. I do fight breakdowns, power ranking videos, or more deep dives into your favorite characters and franchises with new videos every week. So if that seems great to you, well, sit back and enjoy the video. Hit that like button if you want to, or hit the subscribe button while you're at it. 300 years ago, Hamato Yoshi was ousted from the Foot Clan by Roku Sakai after openly criticizing Sakai's lust for power. Sakai not only ousted him, but he killed Yoshi's wife. When Yoshi and his sons fled, Sakai hunted them down and killed them too. 300 years later, Hamato Yoshi and his 4 sons were reincarnated as a lab rat and 4 turtles, who were transformed by mutagenic ooze into their current forms, that of Splinter and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, yeah, I know there are a few different origin stories out there for Splinter, but this is the one we're going with, although we will be using a composite version of the character. Splinter is first and foremost the martial arts master. He's the one who taught the Ninja Turtles everything they know. He's the one who formed them into the fierce fighting unit that they are today, and it shows. But before we get to that, it's important to remember that Splinter was hit with the mutagenic ooze too, which means that he was transformed into a superhuman as well as his sons. He's strong enough to overpower most every opponent that he goes up against, and that includes the likes of all 4 of the turtles. He's knocked out Bebop and Rocksteady, and he can even match up against Shredder and sometimes get the better of him. Splinter is able to pack some serious power behind each and every one of his attacks. And of course, just like Splinter is incredibly strong, the little rat is also incredibly tough. I mean, he's tough enough to routinely take attacks and sometimes some honest to God absolute beatings during his fights, and keep on picking himself up and keep on going. And a lot of the time, these attacks are coming from fighters who are strong enough to punch through metal or level buildings. These attacks definitely aren't lacking in power. He's been cut up and slashed and stabbed all over. He's had buildings collapse on top of him. And Splinter also isn't stupid. He wears Kevlar body armor under his robes just to give him that little bit of extra protection. Last but not least, Splinter is also pretty much superhumanly fast. For starters, he can easily outspeed all 4 turtles, who definitely aren't slow by any means. He can dodge arrows or cut them in half in the air. He can dodge bullets and machine gun fire, energy blast and lasers and missiles. He can honestly dodge and react to pretty much any and every attack thrown his way. He's just regularly out there outreacting opponents and catching them off guard with his speed and his skill. And that's really the biggest thing. Splinter is incredibly skilled. He can regularly defeat whole groups of foot ninjas without even being hit once, and really without even drop a sweat. This is just light work for him at this point. He taught the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles everything that they know, and because of that, he's regularly able to defeat them in their sparring matches, even taking them down all 4 of them at once. He's the only guy we've seen who's a match for Shredder on his own. Splinter can routinely fight against Shredder, and even though he'll sometimes lose the fight, even just contending one-on-one is a feat on its own. This guy is easily the best fighter in TMNT. He's more than a match for all 4 turtles, and has actually been able to fairly hold his own against Batman before in crossovers. So yeah, Splinter being an equal match for Shredder is definitely impressive, and demonstrates just how powerful and skilled an opponent he truly is. A former student of Master Oogway, Master Shifu became a highly skilled master of Kung Fu himself, and the senior master of the Jade Palace, hoping that his first student, Tai Lung, would become the legendary Dragon Warrior. However, that didn't really work out that way. Sometime after Tai Lung's betrayal, Shifu went on to train Tigress, Mantis, Monkey, Viper, and Crane, forming the Furious Five. Though these students became well known for their heroics, none of them were selected to be the Dragon Warrior, and Shifu was outraged when Po was chosen instead. Witnessing the Panda's potential and determination, however, Shifu eventually came to believe in him, successfully teaching Po the skills needed for him to ultimately save the Valley of Peace. Small, fast, and cunning, Master Shifu is an extremely talented warrior. In fact, as the master of the Jade Palace, Shifu's abilities could possibly rival those of his own master Oogway's, who's considered by many to be the greatest master in Kung Fu history. Despite his small size, Shifu is surprisingly powerful. He's able to effortlessly break rocks during his training and can fight against some very powerful opponents too. Like Shifu has been able to battle against Master Elephant, who's a legit elephant, then fight one-on-one against Tai Lung for an extended period of time. And do I really need to remind you how powerful he is? This is also true of his durability and speed. Shifu is tough enough to take all sorts of attacks from Tai Lung, be kicked all around, even go flying and crashing through the roof of the Jade Palace twice. He's also fast enough to easily react to and dodge attacks, can outspeed and outreact both Po and all of the Furious Five, and has proven his incredible speed just by fighting with Tai Lung. Now, even though Tai Lung did beat Shifu during their rematch, that's not the biggest knock against him. Tai Lung is incredibly skilled, and besides, Shifu was able to hold him off for long enough for Po to show up, and then Po could beat him as he embraced the destiny of the Dragon Warrior. And besides, that's like one of the only times we've ever seen Shifu actually lose a fight. He routinely is able to outclass all of the Furious Five at once during their trainings. He can beat Po during their training sessions too. It's even true that Shifu taught all these fighters everything that they know. He's also able to put up a better fight against General Kai than pretty much every other fighter in that movie, with Kai being an equal to Oogway himself. The Wuxi finger hold is said to be Shifu's signature move, and even though we've never seen Shifu fully using it, just readying it as a warning to Po, Po was able to learn it and used it to defeat Tai Lung. It's definitely safe to say that Shifu could do the same thing. This is his signature move after all. Now, a common move of Shifu's that we do see involves leaping up at its attacker and rapidly kicking them. Then, while they're recovering, grabbing the attacker and flinging them away. He's knowledgeable in pretty much every style of Kung Fu. And with that, alongside his paralyzing nerve strikes, well, it all makes Shifu a serious force to be reckoned with. So, who wins here? Who's coming out on top? Well, let's break it down. Now, it's safe to say that both these fighters are physically powerful, and both are incredibly skilled. That's just an obvious point for both. Don't want to try and undersell either of these characters here. And I would actually say that their physicality might be kinda close to equal here too. Splinter has routinely shown off his strength by busting apart metal and ripping through it with his attacks. He's also routinely been able to overpower and knock out guys who should be way stronger and more powerful than him. I mean, Bebop and Rocksteady are guys who can throw around cars and usually can take attacks no problem. and Splinter can knock them out. Of course, Shifu has also done basically the same thing, shattering stones with his strikes, being able to effortlessly toss Po around, or even fight against Tai Lung or Master Elephant, who are obviously both superhumanly strong. Same with durability, both can take attacks from super powerful opponents and not go down. Both are regularly able to power through attacks that are thrown their way, and same with speed too. Both are way too fast for most of their opponents, can fight against several opponents at once, can dodge a lot of the attacks that come their way, and can move and react faster than the eye can see. They're roughly equals in all these ways. Of course, you can argue that Shifu is more powerful than Splinter, just because scaling gets a little wonky comparing Kung Fu Panda and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. For the most part, all the fighters in TMNT are around peak human and street level characters. To put in perspective, that means they're mostly around Batman's level. In fact, we've seen this play out in a crossover. That battle did happen, and Batman was able to give all the turtles a free lesson and beat their butts. Meanwhile, Kung Fu Panda is both more mystical and more cartoonish, which leads to some pretty hardcore, ridiculous, and powerful fights. I mean, just look at some of the crazy stuff that Tai Lung is able to do, or that Po is able to survive, or that Kai has managed to pull off in the past. Look at some of the things that we've seen in Po's fight with Tai Lung, or in Po's fight with Kai, or anything like that. Shifu should be right up there with them when it comes to scaling too. Of course, this isn't totally fair. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can get pretty out there too sometimes, but most of the time, the world does operate more on the street level when it comes to fights. Most of the time, Kung Fu Panda really doesn't. That's what I'm trying to demonstrate here. Now, what about skill? Well, I think in this area, they're definitely equals too. Maybe Splinter can take the slight edge. Now, we know both are excellent teachers. Splinter basically created the Ninja Turtles, while Shifu taught Po and the Furious Five everything that they know. And because of that, they can both easily fight against their students all at once, and take them down pretty much every single time. Splinter can hold his own against Shredder, while Shifu can hold his own against Tai Lung. Sure, neither one might be able to consistently beat the villain, but just holding their own in a fight against them is impressive enough. Top it off, they're both absolute masters of pressure points and nerve strikes, and can routinely put down opponents with just one or two strikes because of it. Now, the biggest props here would probably have to go to Splinter, because he was able to win the Battle Nexus tournament, a place where all the greatest warriors from across the multiverse compete to win. But here we can circle back to just the fact that Ninja Turtles and Kung Fu Panda are not the same. Kung Fu Panda and Shifu have so many more feats that extend out into the mystical, the mythical, the supernatural. I mean, just look at the Wuxi finger hold. It's Shifu's signature move. Odds are he'll try and use it in this fight. With just a simple finger, he can separate Splinter's soul from his body and send out shockwaves for miles around. That's honestly light work for him here. Plus, there's just the fact that Shifu can amp his strikes with his chi, and suddenly, Shifu's throwing some seriously powerful punches Splinter's way, too. End of the day here, I think this is a great fight. These two are incredibly close and would respect each other as worthy adversaries. But because of how close they are when it comes to skill, when it comes to physicality, I think you have to lean on Shifu's mystical powers and abilities as the key difference here. And I think that's what's going to give him the edge in the ultimate victory. Shifu wins. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.